Hi everyone and Assalamu alaikum. I'm so sorry for ghosting you guys literally and disappearing for the longest time. It's been quite a lot since then. But I just want to be really flat and honest with you here. First off, this podcast might be a bit triggering for a few people. Um, so sort of like maybe some big emotions and some heavy stuff coming your way. But I obviously just want to keep things very raw and real here. The reason that I took a break or went back was that I simply wanted to take a mental health break. And I want to say this, I mean, there were other reasons, but this was definitely the most important and the main reason. And I just want to, be honest about it because I want to normalize mental health breaks without people having to sort of justify or explain to people why they can't sometimes show up. And honestly, like, I couldn't show up. And I think from my old podcast, you sort of already know that I was in some sort of a fragile place because I was struggling with sort of my identity. I was struggling with what do you call it, understanding myself and what I want to do, and how to navigate through life now. But that wasn't the reason for me to sort of stop coming, because I was sharing that journey with you. But something happened which sort of triggered my already fragile क्या उसे कहते हैं, mental space. And I felt that I was not anymore in a position to be able to come here and sort of talk. And the reason for that is that my self-esteem was already in one of the lowest it has ever been. I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way I speak. I really struggle with sort of having any confidence, like none. I haven't ever been so underconfident. So on top of that, when you hear something that is triggering or brings up a trauma from the past, you sort of want to hide into a hole and stay in the shadows and not be out there. Because generally be life mein, I have been in a place where I don't want to be the one talking. I don't want to be the one that people are looking at or giving attention to, because I just didn't like the way that I was. And having that attention just made me feel really bad because I was underconfident about who I am. And I just didn't want to be noticed. I just didn't want that attention. And I was also sort of already working on it when this happened. So naturally, that same thing applies online. I didn't want people watching my videos or hearing me talk or looking at me because I just wasn't confident about myself. So I took that time off. I went back, and even doing that, sort of taking that time off, was difficult for me. And it's such a vicious cycle or what, because that was also further making my self-esteem or my confidence issues worse. Because see, like, I have a team who works with me on this entire thing. They do the setup, they upload the podcast, they make the chapters, they do the, they help me with the guests. Basically, they run the show. I come here and I talk about stuff. My responsibility solely is the content that goes out here. But there's so much more that goes behind the scenes. So for them, this is their work. And for me to just come and say, you know what, I can't do this, is something that obviously affects them. And then just saying this to them, it just felt like a lot of pressure where I had to explain that I'm not ready for this. This is something I can't do right now. And that was also difficult and embarrassing for me, and made me think, like, again, because my self-esteem was so low, कि यार ये लोग सोचे होंगे कि oh, she really needs to get her shit together because we don't get to work. And like, because when you're in a position where you're leading or where you're the boss, everybody's looking up to you. They expect you to be the confident one. They're expecting you to make the decisions. And when you're not like able to do that, you feel like you're failing at being a leader as well. And it further compounds or adds to the fact that I'm just so bad at this. I'm so bad at, leading. I'm so bad at being a boss also. I'm such a loser, So that further uh, aggravated the same thing. Like, I can't do this right now. Like, I had to tell them flat out that um, I'm not in that space and we can't do this. And obviously that affects them because they suddenly have to stop working and then they're unsure कि अच्छा अब क्या करें ये तो हो नहीं रहा. And I'm just there taking my time to sort of recover. But this is a reality and this is the truth. And I think it's very difficult to be a, a boss when you have zero confidence, because I did not have the confidence to even like lead team meetings, take interviews, tell my team what to do, because I just didn't have the confidence. I would constantly be like, I'd have no confidence in my thoughts or what I wanted, and I could not convey them. So I used to feel like, I'm a total failure and they're going to see that. Everybody sees that. Okay, something's wrong with her and she needs to get her shit together. So yeah, that is basically what happened, and that's why I wasn't here. So I mean, I could have come here and made whatever reason up, but I thought that would just not be honest, and that's not why I have this platform. I feel like there's no point of doing this entire thing if I can't come here and just be honest with you guys about myself, and things that I'm trying to normalize, they have to start with me first. So there, that's what happened. And I guess it's okay. Like, we all sort of go through these things. And that's the thing. It's okay. And maybe we don't need to justify or explain to everyone that why we need to sort of be away. Sometimes you just need to be away, and that's what I did. I just needed to be away, and I did that. But also there were a lot of times that I was ready to come back, but then life sort of happened where I was ready to come back, but kabhi kuch ho jata tha, kabhi kuch hota tha, and circumstances sort of didn't allow me to come back and do these podcasts. In fact, something very unfortunate happened. So just 2 days ago, I was supposed to record again, which was on Tuesday. And I was ready. I was just sitting at the office and I was waiting for the setup to be done, and I was waiting to just come here and talk. And I had this, candid conversation in mind. And literally, I'm just about to go on when I get a phone call and I found out that a very dear, very, very dear friend of mine, who was 39 weeks pregnant, lost her baby. And I'm sorry if this is triggering for anyone. So if you don't want to hear the rest of it, then you can completely sort of stop listening. And that sort of thing shook me up from the core. It was so heartbreaking. I sort of just burst into tears in front of everyone here. And I just left. I went to the hospital, and obviously I did not record the podcast. Obviously I did not. And it's been 2 days since then. Today's the 3rd day, and I've been going for the past 2 days. And it's been a lot of emotions, a lot of reflection, and I'm sort of still in that process where I can't even imagine anybody who's been through this kind of pain, this kind of loss. I personally don't think that there's anything worse than this. I can't imagine anything worse than this. And I've been so close throughout her pregnancy journey, and she was in mine, that this just hit different. And I felt nothing short of devastated myself. And obviously this is not just hear me out. Like, obviously people who've been through this, it's really bad for them. Like, hum imagine bhi nahi kar sakte hain the pain that they go through, the feeling of that sort of a loss. I don't think you ever come back from it. I don't know how you ever recover from it. Most probably you just learn to live with it. um but I sort of want to share my feelings on, somebody from the side who watches this happen. And before that, I just want to say that I'm really sorry to anybody who has had this kind of a loss. I don't know uh, what are the right things to say, because to be honest, it just feels like, what can you possibly say? How can you possibly help? And that feeling of helplessness is just awful, because the heartache is very, very big. And you know that there is nothing you can do to help, because what you've lost, it cannot come back. And you can just be there, sort of just exist. um you don't even know the right words to say, but it's important to be sensitive, it's important to be careful. And if you really don't know what to say, I guess you should not say it. But to anybody who's been through this loss, I pray that you find the strength and the patience to deal with this. And more than anything, I hope and pray that you are able to grieve the way that you want to, that you are able to properly grieve this loss and then live your life, rather than just live your life without having the opportunity to grieve. It's so important to do that. So anyway, this happened, and I felt all of these things where I felt like, what can I possibly do for this friend of mine? And just watching your dear friend go through a pain so big is painful too, and you feel broken and helpless, and honestly guilty. I think one of the main emotions you feel is guilty for being, for having everything okay going on in your life. And I didn't know, but I did feel like that, and I've been feeling like that. Like times like this, people say that um you should be grateful, but that feeling of wanting to be grateful also feels wrong, where you're like, how can at this point in my life I be grateful, when this is what's happening with somebody? And honestly, and I know this might not sound right, but you don't feel grateful, you don't feel good about feeling grateful, you don't feel grateful, and you just feel guilty and you feel awful, to just be spectating this happen to someone. So um yeah, it's, and just saying all of these things even feels selfish. To be able to say these things, to be able to talk about your feelings on the side, also feels so selfish. And people who've actually been through this loss, through this pain, um only know what they want to hear or how they want to deal with this. So yeah, it's just been watching this entire thing happen has also um been there. And I hope that from next time onwards there are no unfortunate things happening, and that we can come back and we can talk about other things. But I just wanted to talk about this as well, because this is important, and I just wanted to be raw and real. And again, I apologize if there is anything that I said in this entire podcast that was wrong or that was insensitive. But like, I'm a human and I'm trying my best um to um to talk to people and be real, and have people relate, and just sort of, you know I don't know the word, but maybe people who can relate have someone to listen to, that who they can relate to. That's what I'm trying to say. And maybe some people can, learn something from here. But I guess after everything, I realized that the best I can do is be there, exist, be there to be the one, she can talk to, listen to, maybe complain to, or just be a distraction for as well, sometimes maybe. But sort of, I think it's important to let the person lead the way in how they want to deal with this, rather than sort of imposing on how you feel that they should be dealing with something like this. Like, I don't know, that's how I am. I wouldn't want to force the distraction, or I wouldn't want to force them to talk, but I would try um, to be there and just ask them how they would like to sort of go about this. Because in times like this, you don't even understand what the right thing to do is. Maybe all of this is very confusing, what I'm saying, but the truth is, the fact is that I am right now in that place, so I don't have it sorted. I don't know the words, I don't know what the right thing to do is. I'm just smack in the middle of that position, and maybe later I can give a more clear perspective on this, because right now I'm still trying to get it, I'm trying to understand it, I'm still trying to understand the situation. So yeah. So that's that. But thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I think I'm going to end this here now. And hopefully next time we'll come back with more to share, because I'm actually traveling this weekend. So when I'll be back, I'll have stuff to share about that, why I was traveling, what was happening, and just sort of, the way that life is, it's unpredictable. And what you have to do, and what you want to do, and what you end up doing, it's just something else. So yeah, I'll just be updating you on that and the rest of my life. Today, honestly, I was just not in the headspace to talk about so many other things that are happening, because I'm not there, I'm not there to even think about those things. So thank you so much for watching this episode of Happy Chirp. I hope to see you again next time. Allah Hafiz.